The dawn light fractured through the cracked window of a cramped Karachi apartment as Ahmad, a lean 19-year-old with restless dark eyes, pressed his forehead against the cool glass and whispered, "This can't be all there is." His mother, Farida, stirred dry lentils over a sputtering burner, humming an ancient lullaby. He watched her silhouette shiver in the first chill of morning, wondering how a single mother's love had built him yet weighed him down. He remembered classmates snickering at his patched jacket, tracing the ragged seam over his heart, where pride and poverty collided. "Someday," he vowed, voice soft but fierce, "I'll wear more than rags. I'll rewrite our story." A discarded sketchbook lay open on his desk, its pages lined with crude designs of streetwear that pulsed with defiance. Each stroke challenged the world that told him he was nothing. Ahmad closed his eyes, inhaled the scent of spices and steel, and stepped back into the cramped hall. Outside, the street pulsed with life, rickshaws rattling, vendors hawking saffron tea, children chasing stray dogs. He tightened the straps of his battered backpack, ran a hand through his unruly black hair, and descended. The stairwell echoed with each footfall, forging his resolve. Today, he would seek the fabric merchant who trusted his sketches. Today, his mother's sacrifice would demand a return. And today, the son of a single mother would make his first mark on a world that thought him invisible. Ahmad stepped into the bustling cloth market, heat shimmering over rows of vibrant bolts. Stallholders eyed him warily as he cleared his throat and held up a crisp page from his sketchbook. "I've come to show designs," he announced, voice steady despite racing heart. Nearby, a surly merchant named Bahram folded arms, studying Ahmad's rough charcoal renderings of modern kurtas and distressed denim jackets. The crowd hushed. Ahmad felt their gaze like a spotlight. He glanced at Farida's worn photograph tucked in his pocket and recalled her whispered prayers. "These are for people like us," he continued, his voice soft with hope. Bahram's lips curved into a slow smile as he traced a line on the sketch. "Show me more," he said, tone curious. As Ahmad flipped pages, the market's chaos receded. Ideas leapt from page to stall, patterns swirled, colors danced, and the promise of something new bloomed in dusty air. Ahmad sensed his world shifting. Today's gamble felt like destiny. Bahram led Ahmad behind towering stacks of fabric where the midday bustle faded. He unfurled a bolt of coarse cotton dyed indigo and ran his fingers over its grain. "Your vision speaks, son," Bahram said, eyes glinting with opportunity. Ahmad's heart thundered as he felt the fabric's weight, each thread a new possibility. He remembered nights hunched over his sketchbook, dreams woven with his mother's sacrifices. Sunlight filtered through torn tarp above, illuminating dust motes like golden sparks. "I can source this," Bahram murmured, voice low. Ahmad exhaled, daring to believe. The merchant snapped a finger, and a boy in stained kurta fetched ruler and chalk. Over the next minutes, measurements were taken, samples compared, and whispers passed. Ahmad watched his dreams unfurl like the cloth itself. With a nod, Bahram shook his hand. "Bring me your first collection in 2 weeks." Ahmad nodded, his pulse racing with promise. Ahmad returned home, clutching a faded receipt and vibrating with excitement. Inside the tiny flat, Farida set down 2 chipped mugs of sweet tea. She studied his face, searching. He unfolded the receipt, voice trembling. 2 weeks, Ma, I'll have a line." Her eyes filled with tears as she traced his name printed in neat script. "You've made me proud," she said, voice thick. He watched her shoulders relax for the first time in years. "And outside, the city's pulse sounded different. Each honk and shout now echoed with hope. Ahmad paced the room, mind swirling with colors and cuts. He laid out fabric swatches next to sketches and whispered, "This is for us." Farida pressed her palm over his and smiled. In that cramped room, the seed of transformation took root. They drank tea in silence, the future brittle but bright between them. That night, Ahmad lay awake under a thin blanket, the city's distant wail, a lullaby of possibility. He traced patterns on his palm, envisioning stitches and seams. The receipt and sketchbook lay open beside him, illuminated by a solitary bulb. He whispered into the darkness, 2 weeks, Bahram. Don't fail me. Memories of childhood hardship mingled with the hum of his ambition, every scar, every sacrifice forging strength. He pictured Farida sleeping peacefully, her burden eased by his promise. Outside, a breeze carried prayers through the open window. Ahmad closed his eyes and let the night cradle his determination. Tomorrow, he would map designs in earnest. Tonight, he harbored hope, raw and radiant. In the quiet, he vowed to transform his wound into a brand that would conquer TikTok and transcend every doubt cast upon the son of a single mother. In the stifling midday heat of a cramped Karachi garment workshop, Ahmad, now 20, stood amid a half-dozen tailors, stained with indigo and sweat. He cleared his throat, voice steady beneath the roar of whirring sewing machines. Cut the sleeves here, he instructed, tracing the charcoal line on raw cotton. The lead tailor, Rahim, a stocky man aged 52, furrowed his brow but obeyed. Spools of neon thread dangled overhead like garlands, casting rainbow prisms across concrete walls. Ahmad's chest tightened as he watched the first prototype take shape. An asymmetrical kurta with distressed hems and embroidered motifs inspired by Karachi street art. He whispered under his breath, "This will speak our truth." Outside the open door, the city blared, but inside, each clip of scissors and stitch of needle felt like a heartbeat in a new body. Every breath, every drop of sweat bound Ahmad closer to his promise. As twilight painted the sky amber, Ahmad spread swatches across a battered steel table. He held up the first stitched kurta, fingers trembling. "Let me see the fit," Rahim said, draping the garment over a young apprentice's frame. The fabric stretched and sagged at the seams, too loose in the shoulders, too tight at the waist. Ahmad's stomach knotted. He bit back a curse and grabbed chalk. "We'll adjust the pattern by 2 centimeters here," he declared, marking the torso with precision. Each chalk line was a battle scar, earned through midnight calculations and borrowed textbooks. The apprentice turned slowly, exposing every flaw in stark relief. Ahmad inhaled, tasting metal and ambition. "Again," he said, voice calm but fierce. And as needles clicked into motion, he realized perfection demanded sacrifice. Under the harsh glare of LED panels in a makeshift home studio, Ahmad positioned a mannequin wearing the refined kurta. He tapped his phone, and the camera whirred to life. "Angle from waist up," he instructed the assistant, a tech-savvy neighbor aged 22 named Zara. She nodded, framing the shot so the embroidered motifs caught every glint. Ahmad held up a jar of rose water, misting the garment to soften its appearance. "People need to feel this texture," he murmured. He pressed record. A quick spin, close-ups of the hem, a flare of the sleeve. The 6-second clip pulsed with color and confidence. When the last frame clicked off, Ahmad's heart thundered. In that studio bubble, hope felt electric. He whispered to Zara, "Upload it now." She tapped post on TikTok, and the video vanished into the app's endless scroll. At dawn, Ahmad awoke to phone vibrations. His eyes widened. The video had exploded overnight. Comments scrolled by the hundreds, praise, questions, hearts. "Stunning craftsmanship," one read. "Where can I buy?" another pleaded. He sprinted to the workshop, unleashing the news on Rahim and the tailors. Laughter and disbelief collided in the air. Ahmad's pulse raced as he tapped through notifications. Followers jumped from dozens to thousands in hours. He swiveled to Zara on the side, voice hoarse, "Prepare more clips. This momentum will vanish." Outside, the streets felt quieter, as if the city paused to watch his rise. For the first time, Ahmad tasted victory, as sweet and fragile as spun sugar. But beneath the triumph flickered a shadow. Can success be sustained, or will it crumble under its own buzz? By midday, orders flooded in like monsoon rain. Ahmad's phone glowed with pings, messages from retailers, influencers, and strangers. He and Rahim huddled over a laptop, mapping production schedules on a cracked spreadsheet. "We need 5 more tailors," Rahim said, voice urgent. Ahmad nodded, adrenaline surging. He posted a job flyer in local WhatsApp groups. "Join our new streetwear line, no experience needed." Within minutes, dozens of replies poured in. Zara and 2 apprentices jumped to answer phones and record new styles. The workshop hummed at fever pitch, machines whirred, scissors snipped, fabric flew. Ahmad watched the chaos unfold, heart pounding with pride and dread. He whispered into the din, "Keep the quality tight." In that turbine of creation, he realized that disruption demanded discipline. Every stitch now carried the weight of expectation. As the first sunlight of morning spilled over Karachi's skyline, Ahmad stared at his phone with a mixture of pride and dread. Overnight, TikTok influencers had posted unboxing videos featuring his kurtas draped on sleek mannequins in minimalist studios. Comments overflowed with praise, obsessed streetwear goals, but a few stung. "The embroidery beads are uneven. Why is the stitching puckered here?" His chest tightened as he zoomed in on a close-up where a seam gaped at the shoulder. He recalled Rahim's warning, "Perfection falters under pressure." He swallowed and tapped messages to Zara, voice trembling in text, "Gather every flawed piece. We need to fix this before it spreads." Outside his apartment window, traffic groaned into life, oblivious to his crisis. Ahmad exhaled, straightened his shoulders, and headed toward the workshop. Today he would confront every flaw and reclaim his rising reputation. By midday, Ahmad found himself weaving through narrow alleyways of old Karachi, fluorescent signs flickering over stacks of counterfeit streetwear. Under dim neon, knockoff kurtas mimicked his designs, cheap threads dangling like broken promises. He confronted a stall owner, voice low but firm. "Who made these?" The man shrugged, eyes darting. Ahmad flipped the garment inside out, tracing a half-stitched motif that bled ink. His heart throbbed with anger and disbelief. Each ragged stitch felt like his originality stolen. He pocketed the fake kurta as evidence, mind whirling with retaliation and resolve. In that moment, he realized that disruption bred copycats hungry to feast on his success. He clenched his jaw and whispered, "This fight is bigger than me." Then he vanished into the crowd, determination blazing. Back at the workshop, machines lay silent as tailors exchanged uneasy glances. Rahim cleared his throat, voice heavy. Suppliers delayed the indigo dye shipment. Ahmad's pulse thundered. Without that dye, production would grind to a halt. He paced amid half-cut fabric and idle sewing machines, each silent stitch mocking his promise. He called Bahram's office again, phone rattling in his hand. "It's 2 weeks late," the merchant admitted, apology hollow. Ahmad slammed the desk, tension crackling in the air. He rallied Zara and the apprentices. "We pivot, new color palette, faster turnaround. We can't stop." Their eyes met his, hope flickered alongside exhaustion. As afternoon sun slanted through dusty windows, they dove into bins of pale cotton, ready to adapt. That evening, Ahmad discovered an anonymous email, a CAD file of his latest jacket design sent to a rival factory. His breath hitched as he realized someone close had betrayed him. He called Zara, voice tight. "Did you share my files?" She stammered denial, eyes glistening with guilt. He remembered her late-night editing sessions in his tiny studio. Betrayal twisted in his gut like a knife. He raced through Karachi's dusky streets to her apartment, adrenaline burning. She answered the door, tears streaming. "I was scared we'd fail. They offered guarantees." Ahmad's vision blurred with disappointment. He clenched his fists and inhaled the humid air. In that fractured moment, he knew trust was a fragile stitch in the fabric of ambition. Late night, Ahmad scrolled TikTok only to find a viral clip of an influencer's kurta seam snapping mid-walk. The video amassed millions of views in hours, each play etching humiliation deeper. Comments mocked him mercilessly. "Cheap junk, disgrace." His phone slipped from trembling fingers and hit the floor. He slumped against the cold tile, mind numbed by a tidal wave of failure. In the darkness, his mother's lullaby echoed in memory, a fragile comfort. He slid to the sketchbook, sketching a single word in bold charcoal: rebuild. His heart ached but beat on. This ruin would forge his resolve anew. He whispered to the empty room, "I will rise." And as dawn approached, hope flickered amidst the wreckage. Ahmad stormed into Zara's cramped studio under the buzz of a single fluorescent tube, heart pounding with betrayal. He confronted her across a cluttered desk strewn with phone screens and sketchpads. "You sent my CAD files to them," he said, voice low and trembling. Zara's eyes flickered between guilt and defiance as she folded her arms. "They promised security," she whispered, voice cracking with regret. He paced 2 meters of laminate floor, mind racing through late-night editing sessions, and whispered confidences. Each memory twisted into doubt, the bond shattered like broken glass underfoot. He paused, chest tight, and asked, "Why?" She swallowed, lashes wet. "I wanted assurance we'd survive this storm." Ahmad exhaled in a slow hiss, pain mingling with understanding. In that frigid moment, he realized his greatest ally had become his fiercest opponent, and trust would need rebuilding from the ground up. Determined to unmask the wider conspiracy, Ahmad slipped into the maze of Karachi's shipping docks before dawn. He navigated rain-slicked containers as cranes groaned overhead. Clutching a dim flashlight, he traced sealed crates stamped with Barron's emblem and a rival brand's logo. His pulse thundered as he pried a corner of tape and revealed stockpiles of counterfeit kurtas, exact replicas of his designs. "Bahram," he whispered into the darkness, voice charged with disbelief. He rifled through shipping manifests on his phone, his designs licensed by a competitor under Bahram's name. Betrayal cut deeper than Zara's. Every shipment confirmed Bahram had sold his vision to the highest bidder. As the first light of dawn stained the sky pink, Ahmad vowed to expose the deception and reclaim his inheritance of creativity. Back in his apartment, Ahmad pored over faded family photographs spread across his rickety dining table. He traced the outline of a Turkish tailor standing beside Farida in an old sepia print. A folded letter lay beneath, his father's handwriting promising to return once the business stabilized. He'd never known his father, only whispered rumors of betrayal and debt. Now, the picture snapped into focus. Bahram had been his father's partner and co-signer on every loan. Rage and sorrow collided in his chest as he read the letter's final line, "Protect her and our legacy." Ahmad realized Bahram's betrayal was deeper than commerce. It was personal treachery woven into his very blood. He crumpled the letter and looked skyward through the cracked window. In that fragile moment, he knew the next move would decide not only his career, but his family's honor. Under the blazing midday sun, Ahmad confronted Bahram in the merchant's opulent showroom, lined with glass mannequins. "Why betray my mother and me?" he demanded, voice echoing off polished marble floors. Bahram, age 55, adjusted his embroidered waistcoat, expression unreadable. "Business required sacrifice," he replied smoothly, eyes calculating. He gestured to displays showcasing luxury copies of Ahmad's streetwear. "You lacked the resources to scale. I provided the capital." Ahmad's fists clenched as he took in the ostentatious displays of betrayal. Each designer label stitched in sterile silence felt like a wound reopened. He held Bahram's gaze, voice low. "You stole my story and sold it to the highest bidder." As Bahram's stoic mask cracked, the showroom's crystal chandeliers trembled with the weight of their confrontation. That evening, Ahmad convened Zara, Rahim, and the tailors in his workshop, bathed in golden lamplight. He laid out the evidence, shipping manifests, Bahram's confession email, and his father's letter. The room fell silent, faces pale under the amber glow. "We rise from betrayal," he declared, voice resonant with purpose. He proposed a new plan: reclaim the molds, rebrand under his mother's name, and launch an exclusive drop on TikTok Live. Zara's eyes shone with renewed loyalty. Rahim nodded, pride and determination etched on his weathered face. Outside, the Karachi night thrummed with possibility. Ahmad raised his hand, sealing their pact. "This is our reckoning," he vowed. In that moment, every shard of betrayal transformed into the foundation of his uprising. In the pre-dawn hush of his workshop, Ahmad, now 22, checked the final prototypes lined on a long steel table. He tapped his phone, eyes flicking between the polished Curtis and the countdown timer on TikTok Live. 050. Taylors hovered behind him, breaths held tight. A thin mist of rosewater clung to the fabric, softening its harsh lines. Zahra cued the promotional clip, her finger hovering over go lip. Ahmed closed his eyes and whispered, "For Ma." The single bulb overhead cast long shadows across the concrete floor, transforming the cluttered room into a stage. He donned the first prototype, ran a hand over the embroidered motifs, and squared his shoulders. Outside, Karachi's streets still slumbered, oblivious to the storm about to break. In 5 minutes, his reckoning would unfurl in the blinking glow of millions of screens. The live stream began with a soft click and a ripple of digital applause. Ahmad stood before a plain white backdrop, the kurtas draped on sleek mannequins beside him. "Welcome," he said, voice calm yet electric. His phone camera panned over the garment's distressed hems and bold embroidery as chat exploded with red hearts and fire emojis. He modeled the first piece, spinning slowly under LED panels while Zara narrated the craftsmanship, hand-stitched by local artisans, inspired by Karachi's streets. Viewers leaned in, eyes tracing every stitch. Each mention of limited drop sent pings of orders racing in. As the first 100 orders flickered onto the screen, Ahmad exhaled, heart pounding. In that 6-minute window, his world pivoted on pixels and promises. By midday, the workshop roared like a hive as orders flooded in by the thousands. Influencers tagged and reposted clips, their followers clamoring for stock. Ahmad huddled over a laptop with Rahim and Zara, as they tracked real-time sales maps, glowing red across South Asia and the Gulf. "We're trending in Dubai," Zara gasped, fingers dancing over the screen. Tailors stitched feverishly, spools of neon thread whirling. Ahmad called out adjustments, shorten sleeve by 5 millimeters here, tighten waistband there. Each directive rippled through the room like an electric current. Outside, the dusty streets of Karachi pulsed with the news. Everyone wanted a piece of this insurgent brand. Ahmad's chest swelled. His wound had become his weapon. Late afternoon, a power outage plunged the workshop into tense half-light. Machines stuttered to a halt, and panicked orders rattled Ahmad's phone. He grabbed a flashlight and rallied the team. "We adapt. Manual sewing until grid returns." Rahim and apprentices lit oil lamps, casting flickering halos around bolts of fabric. Ahmad pressed Zara to live-stream the improvisation. "This is real Karachi grit," he said into the phone, voice resonant. Viewers flooded comments with solidarity, resilience, hearts and claps lighting up the screen. Even without electric buzz, the brand's pulse throbbed stronger. As generators roared back to life outside, the workshop erupted in cheers. Ahmad realized adversity had become the catalyst for his most authentic moment. That night, Ahmad sat alone on his apartment's cracked balcony, overlooking twinkling streetlights. His phone buzzed incessantly. Sold-out alerts, restock demands, "You've changed the game." He scrolled to view the final tally. 20,000 units moved in 24 hours. Tears blurred his vision as he tapped out a message to Farida. "We did it." Moments later, her reply blinked on screen. "My son, you've made us both proud." He exhaled and gazed at Karachi's skyline. The city he had once felt crushed by now pulsed with his victory. In that quiet triumph, he knew the son of a single mother had rewritten destiny's script, forging a legacy that would echo far beyond TikTok's fleeting glare. At dawn's pale blue hour, the workshop lay bathed in quiet anticipation, as orders for the exclusive rebrand arrived from across continents. Ahmad, now 23, stood before a wall of drying kurtas labeled Farida and Son, tracing each hand-stitched motif with reverent fingers. Behind him, tailors bent over steaming irons, their faces lit by the glow of rising sun. He cleared his throat and addressed them. "We've answered betrayal with authenticity. Now we must deliver excellence." His voice, calm but charged, echoed across the concrete floor. "Each stitch sewn today carries the weight of our journey, from his mother's humble kitchen to TikTok's global stage." He inhaled the mingled scents of indigo dye and fresh cotton, savoring the moment of transformation. Outside, Karachi stirred to life beneath a pastel sky. Ahmed squared his shoulders and added, "Let's show the world who we are." Late morning, Ahmad huddled in a cramped shipping office stacked with cardboard boxes ready for dispatch. He signed export manifests bound for Dubai, London, and New York, each destination a testament to his brand's ascent. Customs officials eyed him curiously as he spoke. "Contents, artisanal kurtas handcrafted in Karachi, handle with care." His pen hovered over the final signature, and he paused, recalling Farida's sacrifices. Each formality felt ceremonial, a vow that his mother's legacy would traverse borders. As he sealed the last box, he whispered, "From her hands to theirs." Outside, the sun blazed against corrugated metal roofs. Ahmed stepped into the harsh light, the world opening before him like a new pattern waiting to be cut. That afternoon, Ahmad stood in a minimalist Dubai showroom, where his kurtas hung alongside luxury labels. Well-dressed clientele and influencers gathered under recessed spotlights, sipping Arabic coffee. He approached a polished marble counter and greeted a fashion editor aged 35, who flipped through a lookbook featuring his journey, sketches beside workshop stills, his mother's photograph, and viral TikTok frames. "Your story resonates," she said, voice soft yet firm. Ahmad nodded, pulse thrumming beneath his crisp shirt. The editor tapped the page showing Farida's weathered hands. "Authenticity sells." He exhaled, letting the moment wash over him. In this gleaming showcase, his wound had become his greatest asset, proof that honesty could conquer luxury's hollow promises. As twilight draped Karachi's skyline in violet hues, Ahmad returned home to find his mother waiting on the balcony. Farida's silver-streaked hair caught the fading light as she embraced him. He held her close and whispered, "We did it." She traced the contours of his face and said, "You gave me more than success. You gave me pride." Below, neon signs flickered to life, echoing the city's ceaseless pulse. Ahmad guided her inside and poured 2 cups of cardamom tea. They sat by the open window, letting the warm breeze carry distant prayers. In that golden hour, he realized victory was not measured in sales or followers, but in the promise fulfilled between mother and son. Under a star-flecked sky, Ahmad stepped onto the rooftop of his apartment building and scanned the horizon. Splashes of neon and distant muezzin calls blended into a symphony of home. He tapped his phone to display a live map of global orders still streaming in. He whispered into the wind, "This is just the beginning." Behind him, the rooftop's corrugated tin rustled in a gentle breeze. He closed his eyes, breathing in the night air heavy with jasmine and ambition. In that quiet moment, he felt the weight of his journey, from a single mother's kitchen to a brand that transcended borders. Tonight he would dream bigger. Tomorrow, he would build on every stitch of hope. On the morning of launch day for the global Farida and Son collaboration with a major retailer, Ahmad stood backstage at a sleek Karachi event hall flooded with press and influencers. He adjusted his crisp indigo kurta under a spotlight that danced off polished concrete floors. Behind the curtain, Zara checked her tablet, monitoring live streams from London and New York, while Rahim ran a last-minute stitch on a prototype. Ahmad's pulse thundered, every heartbeat echoed the stakes of this moment. He inhaled the floral spice of his mother's cardamom tea, still lingering on his shirt. He whispered, "This is for Ma," and stepped forward as the curtain rose. Under the harsh glare of cameras he smiled, equal parts pride and vulnerability, ready to claim the world's stage. As the INC introduced Farida and Son, a hush fell over the crowd. Ahmad stepped to the microphone, voice steady despite the roar of anticipation. "My mother taught me that every thread carries a story," he began, gaze sweeping the sea of faces. He recounted his journey, from a cramped apartment and a single bulb to this gleaming stage, and held up a photo of Farida stitched into his jacket's lining. Cameras flashed as he revealed the limited edition run. Kurta's hand-stitched by his team in Karachi, each numbered and signed. Applause thundered, mingling with tears in his eyes. In that moment, he transcended the label of son of a single mother and became a symbol of resilience and innovation. Backstage, Ahmad embraced Farida, as Rahim and Zara beamed beside them. A flood of congratulatory texts chimed continuously in Ahmad's pocket. International press coverage, bestseller charts, partnership proposals. Yet his eyes never left his mother's face, lined with pride and disbelief. She cupped his cheek and said, "You made our story bigger than any brand." He kissed her forehead, voice thick with emotion. "We did it together." Rahim ruffled Ahmad's hair and added, "And this is only the beginning." Outside, the event's livestream showed orders skyrocketing as the world connected to their narrative of grit woven into every stitch. In those embraces, Ahmad felt the culmination of every sacrifice and the promise of what lay ahead. That night, Ahmad returned alone to the rooftop where his journey began. The Karachi skyline flickered with neon and prayer calls echoing across the river. He set his phone to livestream and spoke into the quiet. Every setback, every betrayal, let us hear. He recounted the twists, Bahram's duplicity, Zara's lapse, the power cuts, and how each fracture forged strength. Viewers from dozens of countries tuned in, hearts connecting across time zones. He paused, eyes glistening in the rooftop glow, and whispered, "Thank you for believing when I almost gave up." Then he slipped a hand into his jacket pocket and revealed a small blank tag, embroidered simply with 7.0725. The date his father vanished. "Tomorrow," he said, "we find answers." In the final seconds, Ahmad's voice dropped to a whisper. "And that's why his name is never spoken in our home, even though he left us a legacy to reclaim." He pressed end on the live stream, and the rooftop fell silent, except for the city's distant hum. He folded the embroidered tag into his palm, the empty name inside carrying more weight than any fame. As dawn broke, painting the sky in blush hues, Ahmad tucked the tag into his sketchbook and closed it. He exhaled slowly, heart set on the next chapter, not just conquering fashion but uncovering the father who once promised to return. And in that taut, hopeful pause, the son of a single mother prepared to leave behind the past and step into his unknown future.